I am Shannon with Seeds of Wellness out of Woodstock, Georgia. So, mastery, a wide and often confusing word in a society focusing on exposure over mastery. With societal and cultural shifts, we are seeing mastery becoming too slow for the fast paced need of information. So, with the need for instant gratification, most rely on the appearance of mastery instead of actual mastery. Most of you here are engaged in Qigong, and you likely recognize the significance of foundational learning in this practice. Currently, Qi deviation syndrome is becoming apparent, largely due to inadequate foundations and training, especially as Qigong receives more widespread attention. Without the right foundational skills, regardless of how elementary they may seem, you risk developing serious issues that can lead to a rapid decline in both mental and physical well being. This serves as a prime example of why a solid foundation is essential for any journey toward mastery. So let's venture beyond Qigong and delve deeper into other aspects of mastery, examining how the fundamental principles of nature come into play. So I will be referring to mastery as achieving proficiency across various disciplines and is applicable to any subject, whether it be physical, spiritual, or emotional. So, from the moment we arrive on this earth, we encounter numerous paths and opportunities to explore mastery. And as we embark on the journey of self mastery, it's essential to take a step back and comprehend our earth and the external environment. We must bloom where we are planted, adapting and evolving based on the energy surrounding us, just as plants thrive by adjusting in the environment as needed. And as we grow, we start to master crawling, and then we develop the necessary muscles and master those at that moment in that time, and the neural connections eventually leading us to walk. But at what point do we diverge from understanding our earth and continuing on our journey to appear as masters in a particular area? So, looking as if we have mastered a certain subject or discipline. So, let's look at the moment that we come into this earth. So, we've entered this earth and we take our first breath, an innate breath. And it fills our lungs with vitality. Our diaphragm contracts or descends. It allows for air to flow into our lungs. And then the diaphragm rises, relaxes, and helps to expel stress and toxins. And our breath, if we think about it, our breath resembles the rhythmic ebb and flow of the ocean tides. It creates a soothing movement within our bodies that fosters relaxation, massages the vagus nerve, reduces stress, calms the nervous system. So let's take a moment and connect with our breath. Let's focus on your diaphragm. If you're seated safely, place your right hand on your chest and place your left hand on your abdomen below your rib cage, on your diaphragm. And I want you to just take a moment, breathe naturally, feeling your body, feeling the rhythm of your breath. So I just want you to take that moment. And if you're seated, let's close your eyes. Let's connect in with your diaphragm and your breath. Let's inhale deeply, feeling that diaphragm contract and lower as you breathe in. And as you exhale, notice the relaxation of the diaphragm Notice the diaphragm rising. Let's continue this pattern for just a few more cycles. Let's inhale deeply, feeling the diaphragm contract and descend. And then let's exhale, fully exhale, allowing that exhale to be a little bit longer than the inhale, feeling that diaphragm rise, relax, pushing out what does not serve you. Inhale deep, connecting with the body, the breath, the diaphragm. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. One more time. Inhale, really feeling your diaphragm drop down, contract, and descend. And exhale, feeling that relaxation, that rise of the diaphragm as you exhale out. Open your eyes slowly. Continue to breathe. And as you inhale, start to recognize the parallels with nature. Really feel the diaphragm contracting and lowering, like the high tide coming in. With each exhale, sense that relaxation and upward movement, just as the ocean recedes during low tide. Our breath flows rhythmically, much like the tides that ebb and flow, consistent, steady, in a wave-like motion. As we navigate through this life and its stressors, our breath often becomes shallow and lost, loses its rhythm and depth. So this is another example of without mastering our breath, we cannot cultivate knowledge in other areas, as this lack of deep rhythmic breathing plays such a crucial role in managing stress and anxiety, our oxygen levels, our energy levels, our organ health, and so much more. A lot of times, most have ignored their breath, not really sure. Is my chest rising? Is my abdomen rising? Am I directing my breath to the right area? This is all kind of lost, and that's where we lose that connection. The whole earth is breathing, inhaling and exhaling. Every part, whether it's the ocean or the soil or the trees. So pay attention to that when you're out and the laws of nature and how it connects in with our body. And take this moment and just really focus on your breath. Now feel how the breath feels now as it relates to the ocean and parallels to nature, and how we have to really understand nature and earth to master ourselves, to have that mastery of self. So just as breath sustains us, so does our nourishment. The spleen cannot transform what is absent. So again, we're back to understanding our physical needs. We have to understand the soil. The soil is essential to any path we walk. If the soil is not filled with the living ecosystem, the fruits of the soil will be depleted. The path that food takes from the soil to the table is also necessary to understand and master, as this path can be long and carbon-based nutrients will be lost in transit. Ultimately, you can only be as healthy as your external environment. So your internal environment is going to match your external environment. And that goes far beyond nature. You need to know your food. You need to know where your food comes from if you're going to truly nourish your body and be able to have the time to move towards mastery in any subject. Our food has become deplete. The soil has become deplete. The transit time is longer. The storage time is longer. Best thing to do is really seek out local farmers that are growing using biodynamic methods, indigenous methods, if you will. So we have to nourish our bodies to be able to move forward in obtaining knowledge or mastery of self or discipline. We can't continue to ask our bodies to do what we need them to do if we're not willing to feed them and nourish them, not only in a physical aspect, but also in a spiritual aspect. Just as instant gratification has become a societal norm, so as cheaper, larger foods that prioritize convenience over quality. And this shift has decreased our access to nutrient-dense foods. It is just vital to recognize that knowledge of soil health, indigenous farming is fading. And this understanding, this knowledge, this mastery of earth, of soil, of water is essential to be able to comprehend the earth in entirety, the seasons, the ecosystems, and ourselves. The external environment significantly influences the health of your internal environment. And this is key to achieving mastery. So we can observe and explore how the laws of nature are relevant to everything around us. The elements are instrumental in obtaining knowledge. But how does one use the elements on a path to mastery? We're aware of how, for everyone who has studied Qigong, Qigong in its entirety does not include just choreographed movement. While movement is helpful and movement is beneficial for anyone, Qigong goes far beyond that. It is so much more than just a movement. It is about the energy, it is about the transmission, it is about the receiving. It is understanding the body and the meridians and how the energy flows and where it's stagnated. And it also includes herbal medicine. And that herbal medicine is not only herbs that we take as tea or tinctures or capsules, but it is also spiritual. It is also ceremony. It is also food. And so food also plays into the elements and into the whole picture of one's self mastery on whatever path that is. So the elements, they guide us. They guide us in crafting strategies for mastery. You know, they ensure we don't rush ahead or overlook pivotal moments in our journey, steering clear of new societal norms that could possibly distort our perception of mastery. Additionally, utilizing the elements will aid in achieving the balance necessary for our quest for knowledge, harmonizing the forces of yin and yang, being able to understand where we are on our path, being able to understand if we are deficient or excess in our quest. So where do we start? We begin with the inception of our journey, capturing that initial breath. And then we progress into a phase of growth. And that leads to transformation. And so then we're at a point where we're gathering, utilizing, using, or harvesting our knowledge. And then we focus on storing that knowledge and using it effectively. And as we look at each one of those, as we navigate the journey of using the elements to achieve mastery, we begin just as we do in clinical practice with an assessment of the elements, the wood element. And we assess the wood element, followed by fire, earth, metal, and water. And it's not just from a linear perspective. We have to evaluate both the control and creation cycles along your path. Whatever path you're on, whatever journey you're taking towards mastery, you have to understand it's not linear. It never is linear. It's multi-dimensional or multifaceted. So you have to look at all different layers of mastery, even when it doesn't pertain to maybe your subject or your discipline. How does the trees pertain to my path? Very much the way that they breathe, the way that they grow, the way that they stay dormant or active. All of this pertains to any path of mastery. So when we look at wood symbolizes the birth of the journey. We think about wood and embodying flexibility and the strength to adapt when necessary. Or you may find that you're too rigid and then wood needs to be adjusted, and you use the elements and the tools they offer to be able to make those changes. It would enable us to effectively manage our planning, address anger, cultivate a broader perspective. So we move on to fire. Fire, just as it sounds, it's hot. We're cultivating joy, our connection, our passion, and our energy to our journey. Where is it leading us? Where are we going? And how far are we going to go? When do we consider that we have obtained the level of knowledge that we want? I mean, as you all know, in Qigong, you are a constant student. You're constantly on the path to mastery. I look at it as it's a journey or a path that the end is never reached, but you're constantly enlightened and you're constantly gaining more tools and information and knowledge and resources to not only help yourself, but to help others as well. We move out of fire into earth. We look at earth. What does earth do? It serves as our source of nourishment and transformation throughout our journey. It provides us the grounding energy that keeps us present and stable, keeps us strong. And we have to stay strong. We have to stay grounded. If we are not grounded on these journeys, it's very easy with that imbalance in fire and fire not being able to sustain earth. We become to a point where anxiety can take over. So if we're not grounded, can float away, if you will. Using that time to make sure that we are stable and nourished is so important. So we move to metal. Metal is the structure. It is the gathering or harvest along our path, the refinement of our endeavors, our discipline and ability to release what does not serve us on our journey. As we all know, whenever we're on a journey, we're on a path, we're trying to learn a discipline, we're trying to learn something new, we're trying to improve ourselves, to really work on our spiritual self. We know that things will come up, whether things are coming up from deep within us or things are coming from our external environment. We have to be able to release those. So water represents that moment that we enter the flow state of our journey toward mastery. Water is our willpower. It is the cultivation of courage and deepening our understanding of intuition. Water is fluidity. But with water, we also have to make sure that we're grounded, that our earth is strong. Water can be out of control. This is why we look at all 5 elements and we use along our path of whatever path we're on. And now I've taken these and I've actually created a worksheet, and I'm happy to share it with anyone who is interested in implementing some of these tools for everyday mastery. The way that I've structured The worksheet is almost as if it is a medicine wheel or wellness wheel, if you will. And what it does is it allows you to chart where you are within certain elements on your journey so that we can look at where are you in excess or where are you deficient. And then we can take that information and we can apply the basic principles of classical Chinese medicine to be able to increase or decrease certain elements and be able to adjust our course and bring in what we need. This can be applied across disciplines, across knowledge bases, across information, whether it's physical, corporate, spiritual, emotional, no matter where you are, you can use this information and chart it. We can use this every day and we can change the topics within the wheel. So if you're interested in it, feel free to reach out to me. I'm happy to send you a blank worksheet along with a sample worksheet and how to use these in your everyday and on your journey. I hope you found this session enjoyable. I encourage you to apply the laws of nature in your surroundings and to stay persistent on your journey toward mastery, no matter whether your goals are physical, emotional, or spiritual. May you have a beautiful day and may you walk in peace. Thank you.